a large part of what people are to us, I don't want to dehumanize anybody, but a large part of what people are to each other is the things they say and do, the way they make other people feel. You don't like someone just because they are a slab of flesh with a brain that moves around and has bones and stuff. You like them because of who they are, what they think, how you connect with them on an emotional level, how they make you feel. And so even when people die and are gone physically, I think if you can keep something about them around, like literally around, as in still in circulation among people who are going to be interacting with you, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not exactly them, I think that's a form of keeping them alive. Something I really was impressed with by Jamison and admired about Jamison was his earnest exploration of his artistic talents. Jamison proactively jumped into his own artistic pursuits and developed them, and that's the thing I admire. Nothing was forcing him to except his own desire to, and maybe fear of regret if he never did it. I want to keep that aspect of Jamison alive. I think he would, if we had both been doing art together in a more perfect world, he had never been on drugs, he had never died. I just think of how exciting it could have been to be able to share this kind of thing with him and get together with him. He does his music thing, I do my music thing, we collaborate on something. Can't do that. I want to keep that aspect of him alive through myself. If this is what it takes to like force myself to follow some of my own dreams, then okay, whatever. It's better than not doing it, so be it. I want to make Jamison proud if there's any way he can know about this. And so, what I'm getting at is that I am going to learn guitar, actually. I'm going to force myself somehow to get better and know that I'm making progress and get to where I can play music on the guitar, which I know people who like can play guitar or just haven't had issues learning it might think this is a really strange, like, it's really hard for me. I've tried so many times and I don't know what I'm doing. It's really frustrating and I just quit. I'm not going to quit this time. This is on video. This is in my tribute series to my brother. I'm going to be ashamed if I quit. It's documented now that I said I would do it. I'm forcing myself. I'm locking myself into this. By the end of this tribute series, I'm going to be able to play. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play well, but I'm going to be able to play. And I'm going to know. I'm going to have like a roadmap for future progress. And I'm going to become a guitar player.
This'll take all my heart. Okay.
Look for the light in the darkness. May your heart be your guiding key.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
Riku! Riku! Answer me! This is Herc's world. Is Riku here? There's nobody here.
Gee, I'm here.
Jiminy! You're okay!
Well, okay might be a stretch, but what are we waiting for? We need to find the others.
Right! Riku!
Hurry, Sora! We can't let him get away! Forget the small fry. We gotta go after the one in charge. We'll never stop them all. Leave them, Sora. We gotta keep going.
Wait!
There's no need to worry, Sora. He'll return to the place he fell, like you did. We gotta focus on rescuing the others.
Okay.
That scoundrel must have fled into one of those pools of shadow that are down below us.
Where do they lead?
Well, I think they might be portals to other worlds.
Okay. Maybe that's where we'll find the others.
If we hurry.
Here we go! So long! Back off! Win! There! Light! Hold still! Let's try another portal. Aim for the ones wrapped in shadows. Try this! Back off! So long! There! Light! Enough!
ought to search every portal the shadows control.
Stop that!
Let's try another portal. Aim for the ones wrapped in shadows. Let's try another portal. Aim for the ones wrapped in shadows.
It's gonna be Kyrie. Oh, okay. Forgot about Mickey. Oh. I got it.
Back off! Heal! Yeah! 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 Fire! Ah! Take this! Ah! Yeah! Yeah!
Jesus.
Gimme!
Okay.
Yeah! Ah! Ah! Yeah! Back off! Back off! Back off! Back off! Heal! Yeah! Yeah! Strike! Back off! Yeah! Hey, stop!
I think
That's the last one. He must be hiding in there.
Oh. I was gonna say San Francisco is gonna be Axel, but we haven't seen Kyrie yet either. I don't know.
Well, Sora, I'd say we've been to every world that we can visit.
But we're one short. Where's Kyrie's heart?
Gee, I wish I knew.
You!
All that gallivanting through the sleeping worlds, and yet you learned nothing.
What?
Dream by dream. You nearly buried yourself in the dark of sleep, and now you're at it again. The Lich you've been fighting, it's not like other Heartless. It exists to usher hearts down to the depths of darkness. If you chase it, you will condemn your heart to that same abyss.
You're wrong. My heart is strong.
What do you think the power of waking is? It's for traversing hearts to reach worlds, not for traversing worlds to reach hearts. There's a high price to pay for wielding such power foolishly.
So what? You're worried about me now?
No. There's no saving you.
Huh.
You've paid the price, and it lies at the bottom of the abyss.
Wait!
Oh, Sora.
Oh.
Hurry, Sora! The way to the Keyblade Graveyard is open! Chipper and I found a new path!
Haha.
Of course! That's the one place we haven't checked yet.
Off we go.
Sora.
Kyrie! I found you!
You see? I had no doubts that you'd pull through.
The light in the darkness. It was you! You're the one who kept me from fading away!
All I did was believe that you wouldn't.
I feel strong with you, Kyrie.
The others are ahead. Come on. I told you, Sora. You're safe with me.
Oh. Yeah! Whoa! Oh.
You okay?
Yeah. Thanks, Kyrie. Oh. It did work!
Gosh! Now point us back at those guys.
Right!
Let's go after them.
We've got to go too!
It is 6:18 in the morning. I'm gonna see about... Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna save the rest for tomorrow. Not a huge fan of the nano gear. It's alright. And this music. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go back there. Well, I guess I'm still playing. must have tuned this last time he played it. Okay. I don't know how to play guitar, so I'm not gonna play anything. This last part of the Kingdom Hearts gameplay segment in this episode, spoilers for anyone who didn't watch it but wants to play the game someday. It focuses on death and this kind of in-between state of not being all the way through onto the other side where you're gone, but not quite being alive or in the world of the living anymore. And I always try to make these, I don't always, but sometimes I try to make these segments here at the end kind of sort of somehow relevant to whatever was going on in the game of that episode. So I guess I'm going to share some opinions and thoughts I've had over the years as relatives have died. So our grandfather on our dad's side died 4th of July. I don't actually remember the year. I want to say 96. I think I was about 8. Jamison was really young. And then his wife, my dad's mom, she passed away when I was 18, 2006. 2011, our grandfather on my mom's side passed away. Jamison and I both still lived in Tennessee at the time. We're there for his funeral. 2015, my mom's younger sister, Hope, died, age 49. She died. I was in Korea. I think Jamison was in California. 2016, the very next year, my dad's older sister, Donna, passed away. And then, of course, 2018, almost 2 years ago, Jamison died. When people have died, when I've lost people that I loved, I've often thought of how to go about it in life, and I've talked a lot about that, specifically in relation to Jamison, of course, in other episodes of this series. But I think we should try to honor them by keeping some aspect of them, something we liked about them, alive through our own actions, through ourselves, and through how we navigate interacting with people, going about life. An example of this is my mom's dad was a kind of a weird guy. It's my grandfather. He was like nice. In his old age, he was pretty chill, I should say. But he wasn't ever like super affectionate, lovey-dovey grandfather. He was kind of this awkward, weird guy with a very strange sense of humor, but he was funny, and I liked it. And so I feel like a lot of people osmose their senses of humor from from their surroundings, of course, but a lot of that I think is from just like what they watch on TV, unfortunately. I think a lot of sitcoms and stuff are pretty dumb and pretty bland peanut butter and jelly on white bread, just basic. And it's unfortunate because then I make jokes and people don't get the jokes, and okay, this is not relevant, but my grandfather was weird and funny and cool, and I liked him. And when he died, I consciously tried to start integrating some of his style and delivery into my sense of humor and how I made jokes. And of course, it's never going to be the same as him. I'm not him. I didn't have his background. I didn't grow up with his life. So it's going to have my own kind of spin on it, and the other influences are going to crowd in, and but that's okay. He's gone. Okay, he's gone, but I feel like people, a large part of what people are to us, I don't want to dehumanize anybody, but a large part of what people are to each other is the things they say and do, the way they make other people feel. You don't like someone just because they are a slab of flesh with a brain that moves around and has bones and stuff. You like them because of who they are, what they think, how you connect with them on an emotional level, how they make you feel. And so even when people die and are gone physically, I think if you can keep something about them around, like literally around, as in still in circulation among people who are going to be interacting with you. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's not exactly them, I think that's a form of keeping them alive. And so I think it's good to try and keep the best parts of people you loved alive. And I thought this years and years ago, I mean, like, I liked the band before it was cool, but I thought this years and years before Facebook, before you'd see memes all over the place where it's be the things you love about the people you want to remember and stuff. Those are good. I'm glad they exist. I think they're good reminders. I just want to reassure everybody that I'm not running on conventional wisdom feel-good Facebook fuel when I'm saying all of this. This is stuff that I've puzzled out for myself. You can call me like an intellectual, a hipster of self-help. You can call me whatever you want. Okay, so I have 3 guitars. I can't play guitar. During a difficult part of my life in 2014, 2015, I've always loved music, and something inside me something like a quarter-life crisis. I decided I wanted to be able to play guitar. I played trumpet in middle school when I was a kid, and I was like pretty decent at it. Like my first year I got most improved, which is one of those is this an award, is this an honor kind of things. Like, so I guess I started out really bad, but then got like pretty good, or at least I had a great change, big spurt of progress. The second year I got most outstanding. So the second year I actually was good, apparently, for middle school anyway. But that's trumpet, and I mostly did band because I didn't want to do PE, honestly. Never been super physically inclined, which is also something I'm going to talk about. But I've always loved music, and so quarter life crisis in 2014, 2015, I decided I wanted to learn guitar. I was heavily inspired by an anime series I liked called Beck, where it's a Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, where the kid starts playing guitar, and also just like some of my favorite bands that I really got into and helped me through an unpleasant time. I thought I'd like to be able to play music like those guys do. Maybe even play their music. Got a guitar from eBay. It was a Big Baby Taylor at the recommendation of my friend who worked at Starbucks. Tried to learn it, tried to teach myself with YouTube videos and looking stuff up and practicing a lot, and it's hard, and I didn't seem to be making any progress. I didn't really have a plan of attack. I asked people if they could teach me, and one of them straight up said he's more of a bass player, and he was encouraging, but he said he didn't think he'd be a good fit as my teacher. I didn't have anyone to teach me, and I failed to teach myself, and so I've picked it up a few times, and every time it's been so long that since I played, I've had to retune it and all that stuff. I mean, I know serious musicians tune their guitars all the time anyway, but mine would be crazy, super out of tune, which is why I was surprised just now when I was tuning this and barely had to do anything. I think my friend Ben, who occasionally comes over and plays my guitar, must have been keeping it tuned for me, so thank you, Ben. Jamison was into music. This is the thing, I started and stopped so many times, and every time I had to kind of relearn bits and pieces of what I had already kind of gotten down before. So it's really inefficient to start and stop all the time. You should just stick to something. It's hard to introduce new habits. You can read up on that. Start small, and then it's easier to make small things part of your routine to where you're not kind of putting yourself out to do them. And then you can get bigger and more elaborate as you go. Kind of like these videos, I guess, huh? But that's something I've always had trouble with. I bounce around to so many different things and so many different interests. Jack of all trades, master of none, but I don't even know that I'm a jack of all trades. I'm someone who looks in the store window of all trades. And I guess I'm probably good at some stuff, but it's so scattered and specific and here and there that it's hard to cobble it together into something very many people are gonna stand back and be impressed by. I'm talking a lot. I want to play guitar. Jamison was always better about that than I was. Jamison got super into art and drawing and just actually spent a lot of time doing it. And I guess as hard as he was on himself in school and and all these other things, he had to have been forgiving enough to allow himself to make mistakes and be imperfect, I guess, because unless he was just a prodigy. But yeah, he stuck with his art. He developed his like hip hop voice over the course of years and got like good at it. And I'm proud of him for that. I'm proud of Jamison for all the strides he made. I'm proud of him for the time he spent sober. Even though he relapsed and died, that doesn't negate the fact that he was able to stay off of it and have 3 or 4 like happy, productive years where he was achieving and he was satisfied and happy. He was hopeful. And I guess wind's gonna blow over my back. I guess everybody has their vices, everybody has their addictions. Jamison's was serious and lethal. Jamison's was drugs. I have always been addicted to entertainment. I think I've like video games, watched probably like more cartoons and stuff when I was a kid than I should have. Got big into anime as a teen and like young adult. YouTube is arguably a pretty bad one these days, although I usually have it on in the background while I'm doing something else. And the thing is, like, none of these things are bad in a vacuum. I love dissecting stories and taking apart stories and what makes them tick and thinking about them on more than the surface level. I mean, that's why I liked all the literature class. I'm an English major and heavy focus in creative writing, so I can't help but see like all the decisions behind a story while I'm watching or reading or whatever the story. I'm thinking about the author who did it or the person who filmed it and, you know, whatever. I love that stuff, and that stuff is good, and I think that stuff is, I think it's a worthwhile use of one's time, but it can also be a crutch to avoid developing other aspects of one's life. If you know there's something you should be doing, or you know there's something that you're going to regret not having done if you get to the end of your life and you never did it, and for whatever reason the thought of starting it is daunting, it's very easy to fall back on these other things that in moderation are a good use of time by saying, this is a good use of my time, so I'll do this. That's avoiding the problem. And I've done a whole lot of that in my life, whole lot. And everyone's got their vices. I guess what I'm saying here is I want to... something I really was impressed with by Jamison and admired about Jamison was his earnest exploration of his artistic talents. And by comparison, what I've lived in my life so far seems relatively dry. It's not that I haven't done stuff, but I've dabbled in all these different things. I showed my RPG Maker games in a previous video, and that was a ton of time and effort. But I have short stories from college, but I don't have anything that I'm super proud of that I feel like I really saw myself growing in and improving in over a long period of time. I don't have anything like that, except for maybe trumpet in middle school because I had to play it because I was in band. And I didn't dislike it, but I didn't really care that much about it. Jamison proactively jumped into his own artistic pursuits and developed them, and that's the thing I admire. Nothing was forcing him to except his own desire to, and maybe fear of regret if he never did it. And even this, what I'm doing right now, might be another way of avoiding my big life's work, artistic project, which is my book, but guitar is also a pretty big one. So, anyway. I want to keep that aspect of Jamison alive. I think he would, if we had both been doing art together in a more perfect world, he had never been on drugs, he had never died. I just think of how exciting it could have been to be able to share this kind of thing with him and get together with him. He does his music thing, I do my music thing, we collaborate on something. Can't do that. But I want to, probably like the fourth time I've tried to say this, I want to keep that aspect of him alive through myself. If this is what it takes to like force myself to follow some of my own dreams, then okay, whatever. It's better than not doing it, so be it. I want to make Jamison proud if there's any way he can know about this. And so, what I'm getting at is that I am going to learn guitar, actually. I'm going to force myself somehow to get better and know that I'm making progress and get to where I can play music on the guitar, which I know people who like can play guitar or just haven't had issues learning it might think this is a really strange, like, it's really hard for me. I've tried so many times and I don't know what I'm doing. It's really frustrating and I just quit. I'm not going to quit this time. This is on video. This is in my tribute series to my brother. I'm going to be ashamed if I quit. It's documented now that I said I would do it. I'm forcing myself. I'm locking myself into this. By the end of this tribute series, I'm going to be able to play. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play well, but I'm going to be able to play. And I'm going to know. I'm going to have like a roadmap for future progress. And I'm going to become a guitar player. Whatever. In the very literal sense of a person who plays guitar, not I'm probably never. No, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. My first guitar was a Big Baby Taylor. I named it Charles. My roommate Mickey and I had this inside joke. We watched The Others with Nicole Kidman, and her husband, his name was Charles, and she would always say Charles. So I named my first guitar Charles with a lowercase c, Challs. This guitar I bought from another English teacher. He didn't need it anymore. This is a Crafter. I have not given this guitar a name yet. My third guitar, a teacher who was leaving our program was selling his TV, so I bought it, and he brought it up to my room, and then he said, "Do you need a guitar, by the way? The guy who was in my apartment before me just left it." And I was like, I mean, if you don't want it. So he brought me that guy's guitar. I don't even know what kind it is. I think I've like opened the bag up and looked inside like once. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people think about naming instruments, but I think it's kind of funny, and I'm gonna do it. So Jamison, when he was about 9 or 10, it was after we had both played Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 2. It's a PS1 game, but the PS2 can play it. We saved up for the PS2 and got it, and Final Fantasy IX, and then later Kingdom Hearts. After we both played 7, one of the cities, or I guess it's a country in 7, is called Wutai, Wutai. And at some point, Jamison made like an online identity for posting on message boards. And he spelled it was Wutai, but he spelled it wrong. He spelled it Wutia, so it was like Wusha. And but he would always say it, he'd be like, Wutai! So he meant it to be Wutai, but it was Wusha. And that was Jamison. I remember he posted on some, like the game Xenosaga had not come out yet, like the first part. He posted on some message board, and I think like he didn't know I knew that he posted there. But I knew it was him, and he was like, made a topic, and it was like, some info on Xenosaga? Please, I know I'm not a member. And I've always remembered that for some reason. Please, I know I'm not a member. One of my internet friends, Chisholm3, started talking to him a little bit. This is gonna not mean much to most people watching this. Anyway, I'm gonna name this guitar, because my first guitar is apparently really low quality and like trash, and that's why it was so hard for me to do anything with it. And like one of my friends who's actually good at guitar said, "Your guitar is f***ing trash," referring to my old one, Charles. So this is the one that I'm gonna try and like learn on so I don't go insane. It doesn't have a name yet. I am here right now in this moment giving it the name Wutai, spelled Wusha, but it's Wutai. I'm doing this in honor of Jamison, in case you hadn't figured that one out. And I'm gonna learn how to play it. That's my promise. I remember a couple of the fingerings for the... I remember some of these chord fingerings, but I don't remember what the chords are. I think this was... I don't even want to say it because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong, so never mind. I used to be able to kind of sloppily play part of Bankrupt on Selling by Modest Mouse. Kind of, before I stopped practicing for like the third or fourth time. Not going to happen this time. So right now I'm on Tejos on the mountain that I've come up a few times. Very first episode of this tribute, and then the 1 year anniversary episode. This is kind of a little rest spot, slightly off the beaten path. Maybe a third or fourth of the way up. Maybe a fifth. It's pretty early on. Decided to come here because it's better than my apartment. That's basically it. Nothing inherently musical about this place otherwise. So I don't know how I missed this, but my mom went on a podcast in January. She had told me about it, but I somehow forgot, and even when she told me more recently, I didn't remember that she had told me, so I dropped the ball there. But she was on a podcast. She talked for a good long while, like an hour, about her losing her younger sister and Jamison, primarily Jamison, because that's more recent, and not to downplay one, but losing your child is about one of the worst things somebody can go through. And a big thing that she talked about, or part that stood out a lot to me, and it's stuff that she said to me before, but it just was listening to that podcast again brought it back to the forefront of my mind. It was really good to hear her voice. You know, I live so far away from my family. It's good to hear her voice for an hour. It's talking about stuff. My mom is a classy lady. She should do more stuff like that. She should have her own podcast or make her own video. You can do what you want. Take care of yourself. I love you, but you do got a good voice for talking to people about stuff. Very well spoken, very eloquent. I love my mom. Anyway, a big thing that stood out to me was she said, Jamison, people's brains, even, you know, in America you're an adult when you're 18, but people's brains are still developing and they're still maturing up to around like 25-ish. And that's apparently backed by science. This guitar is really dusty. She said she saw a lot of change in me around that time when I was around 25. And we were all starting to see pretty big changes in Jamison's character and just how he conducted himself and how he talked to us. And part of it was getting sober, but I do think part of it was just maturing, living life and getting older. And Jamison was 25 when he died. I think about when I was 25 and how happy I was for a huge part of it. I quit my awful job at Target, got hired at Starbucks, met a bunch of great people, including just one of my best friends, Brent. Think about how happy I was, and I was in Seattle, and it was a good year, and things seemed to be going so well for Jamison. He was happy in California, he was really enjoying Colombia, and it was cut short, and he never got to know and see the type of person he would become, and we never got to see it. We never got to know and appreciate all of the positivity that might have been there, just waiting to come out, just waiting to be like coaxed out by a little bit more age and experience and brain development. Jamison decisions he made when he was young robbed him of his future and the person he could have been. I'm gonna fight this fly. He was a victim of himself and his youth and his youthful stupidity that we all have in some form, and the awful, corrupt outside world. Yeah, he took away his own chance, and I do think it's his fault. I mean, shouldn't have done drugs, but I don't in any way say that to like rub salt in the wound or like rub his nose in it. I mean, I'm just speaking factually, and hopefully if I'm just plain and blunt about that, maybe at-risk people might take something away from it. You have to own your own decisions, because no one else is you can't really in the end save other people from their own decisions. Not really, they have to do it. So Jamison never quite got to be who he might have been. Never quite saw the success and satisfaction he might have seen from his music, from his art. He was interested in writing for a while. I mean, who knows what might have happened. Jamison was smart and talented. Who knows what might have happened. And all we can do, this is like a grand takeaway or something, like it's supposed to make us feel good. It's not a great state of affairs. Like, I wish he hadn't died, but all we can do with what's left is try to make them proud, do them right. I'm not personally into rap and hip-hop. I know not all of it is this way for someone, but I don't like filthy lyrics and messages that dismantle all that is good about society. And just, I don't like that stuff. I think Jamison was to some extent caught up in that stuff. How much of it he meant, I don't know. I'm not going to do that kind of music, but I am going to do music, and Jamison definitely had an appreciation for all kinds of music. He loved video game music. He and I both paid attention to me, like watching Dragon Ball Z and like the Bruce Falconer score, because it was on Toonami in the West and all that stuff. One time he was in the car with me, and I played from my MP3 player Radiohead's Jigsaw Falling Into Place from the album In Rainbows. That song is incredible. And after I listened to it, Jamison, like, I think he might have looked at the MP3 player or something, or he was like, what is that song? Because he really liked it. And so I was like, oh, that song is great, isn't it? And then I told him what it was, and I played it again. And then he would, like, later on, I remember he messaged me and said that he had, like, listened to it a bunch of times and just loved it. Fantastic song. Jigsaw Falling Into Place. Takes you on a journey. Anyway, yeah. Jamison and I both loved music. So I think he appreciated a lot of different types of music. I think he would be alright with me not jumping into his preferred genre, his genre of choice. But if someone who's not me with my situation were to try and apply this to their own lives, it doesn't have to be the same thing. It doesn't have to be music. Jamison and I happen to both really like music a lot and talk about it and stuff. But it doesn't have to be music. It can be anything. If you've lost someone and you want to keep some aspect of them alive, you should, you don't need me to tell you, you should do it however you want, however feels right, and earnest and authentic, and really getting to the core of what it was about that person that you loved. And only you can know that. But some examples would be like when I was talking about my grandfather's weird sense of humor, just such an odd, specific little thing. Most people will never know. They're just gonna think that's Jordan's weird sense of humor. It could be, doesn't have to be art, or if it's art, but like different arts. Your loved one that you lost was into painting, but you are into sculpting. But you know that they would have had an appreciation for your sculpting because it's art, and that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing. You don't have to become that person literally, down to the detail. It could be a craft. It could be something practical. I don't know. Like, I don't know anything practical. That doesn't speak well of me. It could be bricklaying. It could could be working with your hands, it could be making stuff out of wood that is useful to people. It could just be kindness or patience. It could be some kind of physical habit that they had when they were listening that made you really confident that they were listening and taking you seriously, that you can consciously try to physically emulate with your own body to put other people at ease. It can be literally anything you loved about that person. I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's therapeutic. I think it is literally keeping these aspects of someone that you liked in play in the world. And so, in effect, is keeping some part of them alive and around. And if you believe they're watching, if you believe they're seeing it, probably feel pretty good about it. They'd probably be honored. And I want to honor my brother. I hope he can see it. This stuff. So by the end of this tribute series, if I can't play this guitar, I guess I'm going to be the laughing stock of all, however many people watch my videos and saw this. And I don't want to be. So I'm going to learn. I'm not proud of the fact that I've always been kind of bad at sticking to stuff. And it might be that the only way I can force myself to is doing something like this, declaring it to a bunch of people and then not wanting to be embarrassed, and having it on a video, making it part of this project. And I think that's fine. I'm not ashamed of being ashamed enough of myself to have to resort to something like this. Like, I know myself, I know my failings, and so I have determined what I think is maybe a good way of working around them. And that's better than not doing anything. I've had this guitar I've had a guitar since 2014. I haven't learned how to play the guitar. Best time to start is now, etc., etc., etc. Postcard advice, bumper sticker wisdom, wholesome memes. Okay, I don't remember how to play that. That was meant to be the beginning of Bankrupt on Selling from Modest Mouse's second album, Lonesome Crowded West, but at some point I'll be able to play that. My soft, fleshy fingers with the beginnings of calluses. I don't think it's focusing well, but I've got the guitar string the grooves pushed into my fingertips. Aside from learning guitar, I'm trying to eat healthier and more wisely these days. Trying out a new, so far kind of small and simple workout schedule that I think will be more sustainable. And as with all things, start small and then add more to it later. I think it's a good sign that I've been doing it for a while now and I'm getting to where I look forward to it during the day. after years of trying to work out and just getting so discouraged by lack of results that it was a chore. I had to force myself. That's the kind of thing that's going to be hard to keep up. But yeah, diet, exercise, getting back into actually studying Korean, which is another thing like guitar that I've started and stopped so many times. I know I've talked quite a bit about living well for his sake, living without regrets, embracing life. But aside from the time I've spent learning how to make and edit videos, which is significant and I'm proud of it, but aside from that, I've been neglecting some other areas of my life that are also important to me. So I'm trying to be a bit more well-rounded, give some more focus and attention to those areas. Yeah. I hope by the end of this year I'll be a little bit closer to being a super fulfilled, achieving version of myself. And that's obviously going to benefit me and my life and my happiness. And I guess there'll be some precious element of Jamison wrapped up in all of it in my mind. And I'll partly have him to thank because I loved him enough to want to do this for him, for myself, for him. I don't really know how to answer that, and I've talked about that in the past in other videos, but whatever. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know how to. That's not a question. Really nice day. Forgot to say something that's relevant. I'm not setting up my tripod to say it, but another thing that I'm gonna go ahead and continue on from Jamison's life is when I was in California, I visited Damien and Judith, met them for the first time I should say, and they told me that when they'd be hiking together, Jamison would pick up trash and put it in his backpack. Just pick up trash he found on the trail, litter and stuff, and they would tell him, Jamison, you're gonna get a sticky backpack, and he was like, it's not your backpack, is it? So, Jamison, picking up trash now. That's it. It's just a small little thing, but the trails will be ever so slightly cleaner and more pleasant for people who are hiking on them. Thanks to me, but originally thanks to you, because I don't think I would have done it otherwise. I used to see trash out and about and be like, I didn't put it there, it's a shame that it's there. I don't want to touch it though, it's germy or whatever, but good on you, Jamison. I'm doing this specifically because of you, so good on you. You have made me a better person in this way. There's a lot of trash out here. It's a good thing I always have a bunch of plastic bags in my backpack.
A chord 2. D chord 2. Let's go one more time for that one, guys. Really good if you've kept up with that, but let's do it one more time to make sure. In 2 and 3 and rise up this morning. The same, but the D and the A chord are swapped around for the last two bars, so it's a bar of A, E, straight to a D chord, and then back to A. It's just the last two chords swapped around. It's on the screen for you. Let's try and go for this straight away from the A chord, the second line, 3 and 4